So I've gotten in one or two debates recently about trans issues, and a question that often comes up, and that people seem unreasonably confused by, is, are trans women women? Now, I find the majority of the time when people are debating this, maybe this is just my experience, I don't know, they're just talking past each other. You have one side saying, of course they're women, they identify as women, and then you have the other side saying, oh, of course they're not women, you have to be born with a vagina to be a woman. And they just kind of keep going like that. So what's interesting to me about this question is that it actually bottoms out in moral philosophy. Then today I saw Blair White made a video and she touched on this, and that was just sort of the final straw. I was like, okay, I just need to make a video that actually sorts out what the real issue at hand here is and how someone could actually make a persuasive case one way or the other. So I'll play that clip from Blair's video and then I'll let you know what I think about the topic.
But honestly, this whole thing really had me thinking about this whole sentiment of trans women are women. I'm sure you've seen it on article headlines. I'm sure you've seen it splattered all over by allies and trans people all over social media. And I really want to talk about that because I feel like trans women are trans women. And just hear me out. Like, we're just going to go on a little roller coaster of thought process here, okay? Like, don't get me wrong. In my real life, I'm not going around walking and telling people that I'm trans. I'm not making it a thing. It's honestly the smallest part of my real life. Believe it or not, I know online it's a big part because obviously my channel and we talk about it a lot, but in real life, it's literally a non-factor. So for all intents and purposes, walking through the world perceives me as a regular woman, and I'm not gonna correct people if they don't know that I'm trans, obviously. But in terms of online discourse, which is very different, and in terms of arguing the technicalities and when we're saying things by definition, and honestly, I feel like as a trans woman, I'm a trans woman. I have a completely different set of experiences than biological women. One being, I don't have a menstrual cycle, obviously. You know, when I want to start a family, when I want to have kids, I've talked about it before, I'm gonna have to go through a completely different process to do that because I'm not the same as a biological woman. And I don't feel invalidated by saying that. I've never had to delude myself into thinking that I am the exact same thing as a biological woman to make myself feel okay. I'm happy being a trans woman. I'm okay with it. I feel like I was born to be who I am now, and I don't have any issue with that.
So let's do it this way. We'll put the case for trans women being women as a syllogism. We'll say premise 1, if woman refers to gender identity, then trans women are women. Premise 2, woman refers to gender identity. Conclusion, therefore trans women are women. Now, I don't think anyone in their right mind would disagree with the first premise. Obviously, if woman refers to gender identity, then of course trans women are women. Where disagreement would happen is on the second premise, that woman refers to gender identity. People like Blair would disagree with that and then not reach the conclusion that trans women are women. And people who do agree with that second premise would reach the conclusion that trans women are women. So what becomes of interest here is whether the second premise is true or not. Now, unless you're some kind of linguistic realist who thinks that the universe provides us with the meaning of words or something like this, or we use our Platonic antennas to tune into the Platonic realm of actual word meanings or some other insanity, if you don't think that and you're a normal person who thinks language is a system that we use to represent things and communicate with each other, something roughly like that, well, then you're just going to think that woman can refer to whatever we want it to refer to, and then you're going to be in a position of thinking, well, why should I use it to refer to one thing or the other? The second that you're asking a should question, you're in the territory of moral philosophy. And that's why this whole question, are trans women women, interests me, because it actually bottoms out in moral philosophy. So we have to make arguments for why it should be the case that we use woman to refer to gender identity. For example, a utilitarian can make a perfectly straightforward case. They can say, premise 1, if using woman to refer to gender identity maximizes well-being, then we should use woman to refer to gender identity. Premise 2, using woman to refer to gender identity maximizes well-being. Conclusion, therefore we should use woman to refer to gender identity. So I guess my take is a bit triggering because although I personally am persuaded by the utilitarian case and use the word woman to refer to gender identity, I don't necessarily think people on the other side, like Blair, are wrong. I think actually that both sides can be correct according to their own linguistic conventions and values. And I think this is the big takeaway. If you want to make a persuasive case one way or the other for why trans women are women, then what you want to do is, instead of assuming in the premises of your argument that woman refers or doesn't refer to gender identity, you want to go one step deeper and make the argument as to why we should, right, the moral argument, why we should use woman one way or the other. That's all for today. Till next time.